The cold winds of January 2026 sweep across the Baltic port of Gdynia, but the atmosphere at the docks is anything but frozen. For the third time this month, a massive roll-on, roll-off vessel has lowered its ramp to disgorge a site that has become a symbol of a shifting global order. Row upon row of K2 Black Panther main battle tanks and K9 Thunder self-propelled howitzers, their desert camo hulls standing in sharp contrast to the gray Polish sky. This is not just a commercial transaction, it is a logistical miracle that has left the traditional powerhouses of the Western defense industry in a state of quiet shock. While the capitals of Western Europe struggle with supply chain bottlenecks and multi-year backlogs for their own armored platforms, South Korea has achieved what many thought impossible, rearming a major NATO power in real time. The sheer scale of the delivery is staggering. As of early January 2026, Poland has already integrated more than 160 K2 tanks and nearly 200 K9A1 howitzers into its active service. To put this in perspective, many European nations have spent the last 5 years merely debating the procurement of a handful of new tanks. The disparity is no longer just a matter of preference, it is a matter of industrial capability. The traditional just-in-time manufacturing model of the West, optimized for peacetime cost efficiency, has been found wanting in an era of renewed high-intensity conventional threats. In contrast, the South Korean defense industry, often referred to as K-defense, operates on a hot production basis, a direct result of decades spent in a technical state of war with the North. This permanent state of readiness has allowed South Korean conglomerates like Hyundai Rotem and Hanwha Aerospace to pivot almost instantly to meet foreign demand without the years-long warm-up period required by European manufacturers. A pivotal moment occurred just days ago, on December 30, 2025, when Hanwha Aerospace finalized a $4 billion United States dollars contract for additional Homer K multiple rocket launchers. This deal was not just about the hardware, it solidified a joint venture with Poland's WB Electronics, ensuring that the sophisticated munitions for these systems would be produced on Polish soil. This buy ready, build later strategy is the cornerstone of the Polish model. By purchasing the first batches directly from South Korean lines, Warsaw secured its borders immediately. Now, as we enter 2026, the transition to the second phase has begun. The Boomer Wabendi facility in Gliwice has officially commenced the assembly of the K2PL, the localized variant of the Black Panther. This marks the moment South Korea ceased to be just a supplier and became a foundational architect of European security. The geopolitical implications of this speed cannot be overstated. In modern warfare, time is a strategic resource as valuable as ammunition. The ability of the Republic of Korea to deliver sophisticated, NATO interoperable platforms within 6 to 12 months of a contract signature, compared to the 36 to 60 months often quoted for the German Leopard 2A7, has effectively broken the German and American duopoly on the high-end heavy armor market. For Poland, which is currently spending a record 4.7% of its gross domestic product on defense, this was the only logical choice. When the survival of the state is at stake, a perfect tank that arrives in 2030 is infinitely less valuable than a world-class tank that arrives next Tuesday. This realization is currently rippling through the defense ministries of Romania, the Baltic states, and even beyond the European continent. This brings us to a critical inflection point for other Western allies, most notably Australia. Canberra has long followed a procurement philosophy that prioritizes high levels of local content and extreme customization, as seen in the Land 400 Phase 3 program for the Redback infantry fighting vehicle. While the intention to bolster domestic industry is noble, the result has been a timeline that stretches toward the end of the 2020s. The Polish case study presents a harsh mirror to this approach. As the security environment in the Indo-Pacific grows increasingly volatile in early 2026, the Australian defense establishment must ask whether it can afford the luxury of a decade-long wait. The South Korean model proves that it is possible to achieve both: immediate security through rapid imports and long-term industrial sovereignty through phased technology transfer. However, the rapid rise of K-defense is not without its complexities. The financing of these gargantuan deals has required the South Korean government to extend significant credit lines to Warsaw, totaling over 12 trillion South Korean won. Critics often point to this as a financial risk, but proponents argue it is a strategic investment. By embedding South Korean technology into the heart of NATO's eastern flank, Seoul has secured a multi-decadal revenue stream through maintenance, repair, and overhaul services. More importantly, it has created a symbiotic relationship where South Korea provides the industrial muscle and the partner nation provides the operational front line. This is the Arsenal of Democracy 2.0, a decentralized network of production hubs that are not dependent on the aging and often politically paralyzed industrial bases of traditional Western powers. What truly sets the South Korean industry apart in the eyes of the South Korean public and global observers alike is the can-do spirit of its engineering culture. While European defense firms often act as rigid bureaucracies, South Korean firms have shown a remarkable willingness to tropicalize or winterize their platforms to meet specific client needs without resetting the entire production clock. The K2PL is not just a K2 with a Polish flag, it features reinforced armor, a redesigned turret, and integration with Polish communication systems, all developed and put into production in a fraction of the time it took for comparable Western upgrades. This agility is the true secret sauce of the South Korean success story. It is a blend of intense work ethic, massive state-backed R&D, and a pragmatic approach to intellectual property that favors market share over absolute secrecy. As we look further into 2026, the Polish lesson will likely become the standard textbook for middle-powered defense procurement. The era where a few Western nations could dictate the pace of global rearmament is over. South Korea has demonstrated that in a world of poly-crises, industrial speed is the ultimate deterrent. The sight of Polish crews training on K2 tanks in the forests of Masuria today, rather than in 2029, sends a clear message to any potential aggressor. The window of opportunity is closing faster than anticipated. For the Western allies from London to Canberra, the choice is now clear. They can either adapt their industrial models to match the South Korean tempo, or they can watch as the center of gravity for the global defense trade continues its steady and rapid migration toward the east. In conclusion, the partnership between Seoul and Warsaw represents more than a series of contracts. It is a blueprint for survival in an unpredictable century. South Korea has provided the world with a masterclass in how to bridge the gap between industrial capacity and strategic necessity. As the first K2PL rolls off the assembly line in Gliwice later this month, it will carry with it the hopes of a nation and the undeniable proof that in the modern age, the quick do not just eat the slow, they protect the future.